My name is Tarmack, and this is your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of March 11th, 2017. Quake Champions is following in the footsteps of the new Killer Instinct by offering up a unique monetization model. If you buy the game via something called the Champions Pack, you get all of the characters up front. If, on the other hand, you want to play for free, you can do so with a single character named Ranger and use in-game currency received by playing in order to temporarily rent other characters. Naturally, folks got all up in arms about it, but really the only part that is weird is that there appears to be no way to permanently unlock characters with that in-game currency. It's worth noting that there is no paid currency, just the full unlock. Given that Quake Champions is designed around a rock-paper-scissors model for balance, I predict that whatever character is best at taking Ranger and rubbing his face into the ground like an overly aggressive grater of cheese will be the most popular among paid customers. Square Enix, through its Collective brand, is planning to release 10 games a year with an indie focus. Past games like the Turing Test and future ones such as Battalion 1944. Collective is set up to pitch games to gamers who can vote on them to determine which are the most popular. And I've got to say, I'm rather amused by the idea of a massive publisher claiming a focus on independent development. It's a little like fat-free candy. In our weekly reminder that you do not own your video games, PlayStation 4 users recently had their pre-orders for South Park: The Fractured But Whole cancelled by the PlayStation Store. The main reason is essentially due to the delays and now nebulous release date for Ubisoft's South Park RPG. But where the story takes a turn is that as part of the pre-order, gamers got a copy of South Park: The Stick of Truth, which has now been taken away. No news yet on whether your saves are still held on the system should you choose to buy Stick of Truth outright. Frankly, I think that Ubisoft and Sony should have just eaten this one. You don't give your early adopters a bonus, and then take that bonus away when it's your side that can't live up to the original target. Or at least give gamers a choice if they want a refund against their pre-order. Twitch is releasing the first iteration of their desktop app on March 16th, and for those who have been around the bend a few times, it might look familiar. The rebranded Curse app has all of the base functionality of the Twitch site itself, and while they haven't yet talked about the buying games feature, which will be going up on the Twitch website in future, that is likely to follow pretty soon. Discord had best keep an eye out in the shadows because Twitch is stalking its territory like a hippo waiting in the deep, and hippos will fuck up your day. Valve is making further changes to its Steam review system and will be now removing reviews based on games received for free from a game's review score. They made sure to mention that this includes things like games received as a gift or during a free weekend, but notably did not mention people who professionally review games getting review code, which would also be removed under such a system. Free-to-play games still count all reviews, though. These changes come as a result of shady developers gaming the system by giving out keys free en masse for positive reviews, and even making separate accounts to do the dirty work themselves. Perhaps multiple review score metrics would be useful, put together by people who do this kind of thing professionally so they could still provide in-depth critique. You could call them curators. And I'm going to close today with a story about Canada and Nintendo. Nintendo filed a lawsuit against a company called Go Cyber Shopping, who distributed mod chips for Nintendo consoles, and on the basis of copyright infringement. The court awarded Nintendo about $9.5 million US in this case. It's the first real test of anti-circumvention rules put in place in 2012. Effectively, Canadian copyright law can now be breached even if no copying actually occurred, which is an odd state of affairs to be in. Breaking a TPM, or technological protection measure, is a violation of the Copyright Act. In fact, it goes even further by saying that not only is the provision of services to the public for the purposes of breaking a TPM against the Act, which is selling services to customers that does this, but a consumer doing this themselves in their own home is also a violation. So if I, as a home user, were to mod my Wii U, I would be in contravention of the Canadian Copyright Act. Given we just recently talked about right to repair and ownership of our hardware, I personally think this situation is disgusting, and it sets a legal precedent that Canada has the most vicious anti-circumvention rules in the world. Most days, I'm a proud Canadian. Some days, I wonder how much money changed hands to ram something so anti-consumer through Parliament. But then it was Stephen Harper at the time, our very own pudgy Prime Minister with his grey Lego minifig toupee.
Where do we go now? Where do we go? Where do we go?
This has been your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of March 11th, 2017. I've got a week off and hopefully a ton of content relative to the norm over the next week, so stay tuned. And maybe subscribe if you haven't, otherwise you might be stuck watching political videos on YouTube and nobody wants that. They just want to hear me complain about Canadian prime ministers. I'm Tarmack. Thanks for watching.